Hello everyone, welcome you all in this video lecture. So in this video tutorial, we are going to discuss about an important type of virus named as COVID-19 virus, which is causing COVID-19 disease in all over the world, and it is also called as SARS-CoV-2 virus. So let's start with the introduction. So as we have discussed that it is a type of virus. So let's understand some basic facts and some characteristic features of the virus. So what are the viruses? So basically the viruses are described as microscopic infectious agents, and they are non-cellular organisms because they are only composed of a genetic material which is enclosed under the capsid, which is a proteinous layer. So basically viruses are microscopic in nature, which means that they are so smaller in size and they cannot be seen by naked eyes, and they are considered as non-cellular organisms because they don't have any cytoplasmic organelle or any cellular structure. So that's why they are considered as non-cellular organisms, and they need a host to their reproduction because they lack the cellular machinery. So they use the host cells machinery to reproduce and to multiply their numbers. So that's why they are considered as connecting link between non-living and living organisms. So basically the viruses can be defined as a chain of nucleic acid, which can be DNA or RNA, and which resides in a host cell and cause different types of infections in the host cell. So these viruses are parasitic in nature and they cause several disease and infections in the host cell or in the organisms in higher animals as well as in plants. And these infections are called as viral infections. So in this video lecture, we are going to discuss about a type of virus which is called as COVID-19 virus or SARS coronavirus 2019, which is causing disease worldwide, which is named as COVID-19. So let's start with the introductive part. So before moving to the structure of COVID-19 and about the mechanism, let's understand about some characteristic features of the virus and what is the COVID-19. So basically the COVID-19, also called as coronavirus, is a disease or a viral infection which is a contagious disease, and it is caused by SARS coronavirus 2. Now here the SARS-CoV-2 have the name over severe acute respiratory syndrome, and the SARS or MERS, also called as Middle East respiratory syndrome, are caused by a virus family called as coronavirus. So here the coronavirus is a family of viruses, and these viruses are responsible to cause several illnesses like common cold, some other respiratory syndromes in human. And in the present scenario, in 2019, a new species or a new mutant of coronavirus was identified from the city of China, and it caused a disease named as COVID-19. And later with the time, this disease spreads worldwide and it is now declared as pandemic by WHO in March 2020. And in the present scenario, this disease outbreak is widely found in all the countries of the world, and it is infected to all the persons. Now, this disease was named as COVID-19 and commonly also called as coronavirus. And this disease was caused by the virus, and this virus was named by SARS-CoV-2 and SARS coronavirus 2, which is also a species from the family coronaviruses. And it is suggested or declared that in 2019, the new successor of the virus SARS-CoV-1 is found. Basically, SARS coronavirus 1 is also a species of coronavirus which called the outbreak SARS in previous years. We know that SARS is also a disease which is a type of respiratory syndrome, and In present scenario in 2019, a new successor of this virus is found and which causes COVID-19 worldwide. So now let's understand about some characteristic features of the virus. So the virus named as COVID-19 virus is scientifically named as SARS coronavirus 2 because it is named as 2 because it is suggested as a successor of the virus which is named as SARS coronavirus 1 which caused the disease named as SARS or a respiratory syndrome. And this virus is also a species or a successor of SARS coronaviruses which are from the family coronaviruses. Now this virus have some close genetic similarity with some bat coronaviruses and that's why it was suggested or believed that these viruses are emerged from several bats or from several bat coronaviruses. But it is now unknown that from where they are evolved. So basically SARS coronavirus 2 is type of a beta virus and there are some differences in between the structures of SARS coronavirus and SARS coronavirus 2. And the genome of virus it consists of single-stranded RNA. So we know that any virus is only made up of a genetic material and some proteinous layers. So this genetic material can vary in different species of viruses and the SARS coronavirus 2 contain a single-stranded RNA in its structure as a genetic material and this genetic material is responsible to infect and to cause infections and different diseases in the persons. So now let's understand about the structure of SARS coronavirus 2. So here this is the diagrammatic presentation for the structure of coronavirus and COVID-19. So in this picture we can see here this is the outermost layer having spikes in the structure and just because of these spikes this is named as coronaviruses. So all the coronaviruses have the similar structure having spikes in its structure. Now these spikes are made up of some proteins and these are called as spike glycoprotein and after that they are followed by some membrane proteins which form a membranous structure and they are called as membrane proteins and these membrane proteins are the most abundant viral protein in the structure of COVID-19 virus. Here another type of protein are found which are called as envelope glycoprotein which are formed envelope-like structure and they are also a major structural proteins for this virus. So as we have discussed that the genetic material for the COVID-19 virus is single-stranded RNA which remains in the core of the structure and this genetic material is protected by a layer which is called as nucleocapsid protein or they are also named as N proteins and they have a single-stranded positive sense RNA genome in it which is act as a genetic material for this disease and the structure having a lipid bilayer in its structure. So this is the common structure for COVID-19 virus and also for other coronaviruses. So as we have discussed in our earlier slide that the disease of COVID-19 is declared as pandemic by World Health Organization which means that it spreads worldwide and it spreads worldwide in a very short of time. We know that now in present scenario whole world is facing several casualties and deaths caused by COVID-19 and all the world is now also suffering by the COVID-19 virus. So let's understand about the action or the mechanism of the virus and how it spreads in very short of time. So let's understand. So basically the primary sources of infections are some infected surfaces, touching these infected surfaces, coughing and sneezing of any infected person, and this infection is spread through inhalation of these viral droplets by the coughing or sneezing of any infected person. So basically this virus encodes for four types of structural proteins as we have discussed in the diagram. And these structural proteins are nucleocapsid, membrane protein, spike protein and envelope protein. They are also named as N proteins, M proteins, S proteins and E proteins respectively. So here the innermost layer is N protein which coats the viral genome. Also that's why also called as capsid. And the genome is single-stranded RNA molecule. Now here the spike proteins are also form spikes or the outermost layer for the virus help to attach the virus in the host cell. And the envelope proteins have an important role in the virus assembly. So now the virions or the viruses binds to the receptor through its S1 subunit. So as we have discussed that the spike proteins of the virus are helpful to attach the virus in the host cell. And we know that the host cell have some receptor proteins in its cell membrane, and the spike proteins have two subunits which are named as S1 subunit and S2 subunit. So the S1 subunit of the spike protein help to bind the virions to the cell surface receptors so that they can get into the cell with the help of cell signaling pathway. And it is suggested that at low pH, these viruses fuse with the host cell membrane by the S2 subunit of spike proteins, and after then, the viral genetic material is released into cytoplasm. So, after that, it is transcribed and replicated, and this process was mediated by different types of replication and transcription complexes. And finally, these viruses or the virions which are replicated and transcribed by these complexes are exported from cells, and they are exported to the endoplasmic reticulum, by which they are exported from the cell and transported to the cell membrane, and then they are exported to outside of the cell, and after then the cell undergoes to the cell death mechanism due to the pressure of production of these viral genomes. So this is the mechanism of COVID-19, and in this process they use the cell to reproduce and to make multiple copies of the viral genome. So here this is the diagrammatic presentation. Let's understand the whole process by this process. So here we can see a person, he inhales the droplets of the virus or viral genome and inhale into the lungs. We know that it is a type of respiratory syndrome. So first it infects the lungs of the person, and after that here we can see the detailed structure of the signaling pathway followed by these viral genomes. So there are the SARS-CoV coronavirus 2 viruses which attach to the cell surface receptors with different types of spike proteins, and by the process of endocytosis, they are fused at the low pH and enter into the cytoplasm of the cell. And later on, this endosome is fused and they are released into the cell cytoplasm. And with the help of different types of complexes, they are transcribed and replicated and form different copies of these single-stranded RNA molecules. Now, they are translated into protein molecules and move into the endoplasmic reticulum, and then they are fused into vesicles and transported or exported into the cell membrane, and after that outside to the cell membrane. So this is the whole mechanism of action of the COVID-19 virus. So with the help of this mechanism, the virus named as COVID-19 virus or SARS coronavirus 2 virus is responsible for causing the disease named as COVID-19. And there are several symptoms, or some common symptoms include fever, cough and shortness of breath, including tiredness and fatigue. But they are not limited symptoms. They also include several sore throat, headache, chest pain, difficulty in breathing, and sometimes lose the ability to smell or to taste. So As we have discussed that its complex mechanism of action, now there is not any treatment discovered to treat the disease, but the signs or the symptoms can be diagnosed or also treated by several medicines, and there are several vaccines which are now verified and used to cure and to prevent the outbreak of this disease. So there are different vaccines which are used in worldwide in several countries to prevent the disease. So in this video we have discussed about the coronavirus, its types and the pandemic COVID-19 disease and about its symptoms. Thank you.